and play. Today we're going to talk about hashtag TCKProbs. So for those of you who don't know, a TCK is a third culture kid, and that basically means that you're a kid who grew up in a country other than your nationality. So for me, I'm American, and I was born in Ohio, but I lived in Morocco for 12 years, and now I live in Tunisia. So our very first TCK prob is toilets. I grew up using squatty potties or Turkish toilets, which is basically just a hole in the ground and two little slabs to put your feet on. And you have to just kind of aim and hope you get in the hole. And one year, on our way back to the States, we stopped in Chicago at the O'Hare Airport. And I went to the bathroom because I really had to go. And lo and behold, as soon as I stood up after going to the bathroom, I heard this really weird sound, and I looked down and the water was swirling on its own and it flushed. And then the seat moved, like the seat cover, and I freaked out and I think I actually screamed. So yeah, toilets are a bit of a problem. So number 2 is not knowing what language to speak to friends. As a TCK, you live in many different countries and your friends speak different languages. And sometimes you're confused whether to speak English or, in my case, French. And so, I don't know, like, you want to show them that you speak French well, but they want to show you that you speak English well. So you end up kind of like just speaking a combination of the two. One time I spoke a 3-word sentence and each word was a different language. It was pretty interesting. So our third problem is knowing more about the history of the country that you live in than your passport country's history. I spent all my elementary years learning about Morocco's history and the revolution and all that stuff, and then my sophomore year I moved to the States and I had to go to an American high school where they kind of automatically assumed that you knew all the 50 states and their capitals and all the presidents. And I didn't know any of that, and I still don't. And people will come up to me and we'll be talking about history, and I will just be, nope, no idea at all. A fourth TCK problem is suddenly craving whatever food you can't find in the country you're living in. So my example right now is bacon. Well, I guess you can find it here, but it's really expensive and it's not always available. When I lived in the US, I always wanted Moroccan food, and it's annoying how when you live in the country where it is available, you take advantage of it, you don't really eat it that much because you're just like, oh, okay, well, I can eat that whenever. Then as soon as it's not there for you, you always want it. Yeah, that's true. Our fifth TCK problem is having to live out of a suitcase for oftentimes months on end. We would travel back to the States about every 3rd or 2nd year when we lived in Morocco, and we would each get one 50-pound bag, and in that we had to pack enough clothes and stuff for 3 or 4 months of the summer. And of course this didn't matter as much when I was like 5, but in the later years it really began to be a problem because I only brought like 5 shirts. And then our most recent example is that we recently moved to Tunisia. We only moved this summer. And we left the States August 2nd, something like that, and we've been living out of our suitcases ever since because our container with all of our clothes and all of our kitchen appliances and all of our furniture has not gotten here yet. And so I've been wearing the exact same outfits for 4 months, and that's kind of hard. Number 6 is getting Christmas and birthday packages months late because the postal system is absolutely terrible. Or sometimes just because you have lazy friends who don't get the packages in the mail. But a lot of times it's postal service. Like, I think that people in the US sent us packages in as soon as we moved in August, and they still haven't gotten here, which basically means it's never gonna get here. I think one example is we were living in Morocco, and some friends in the US sent us a Christmas package. And the address we put on the package was Casablanca, Morocco, because that's where we were living. but some lazy postman saw it and assumed that it was the Casablanca in Mexico and sent the package to Mexico. So we got our package very late. But I guess the positive side to this is that you get to celebrate these holidays more than once because you keep getting gifts after the actual holiday. So it's like having many Christmases.
Our seventh TCK problem is always being fed hamburgers and hot dogs or pizza when you're invited to dinner during furlough in the States. And don't get me wrong, I love hamburgers, I love hot dogs, and I adore pizza. But when that's all you eat for the 4 months that you're there for the summer, it gets kind of repetitive. And honestly, I would like to have some pasta or some roast beef or something. But no, they just kind of assume that since you're only there for 3 months, you want to have as much of that food as possible.
Number 8 is wanting to share your story with people, but not really having anyone to talk to that wants to listen. I know that I've recently discovered that I have a pretty exciting life. I realized that my life is more exciting than a lot of people in the US who just stay in the same state or even the same city their whole life. And that makes me excited, and I want to share it with people, and I want to tell my friends in the US about where I've lived and the experiences I've had, but it's hard to find people that are willing to listen to your long version of your life story. And a lot of times they'll mistake your excitedness for arrogance, and they'll be like not interested, or they'll be like offended that you're so prideful about your past and stuff. And so it's hard to not be able to share that with people sometimes.
So the 9th problem is having to speak with your hands all the time, or when you're in the States, wanting to speak with your hands and nobody understanding. In Morocco, when you're driving, you drive more with your hands than with turn signals or lights or anything like that. If you want to pass somebody, you just stick your arm out the window and tell them to wait, and they'll wait. If you're angry at somebody, you just shake your hand like this at them, and they understand that they did something wrong, or you tell them to slow down, or you tell them it's okay. So then, the last 3 years when I lived in the States and I was learning to drive, I would try to speak with my hands, or I'd be tempted to take my hands off the wheel to try to explain something, and nobody understands, and they just think that you're really weird.
Number 10, the last TCK problem on our list today is hating the sound of packaging tape and the smell of cardboard boxes because it brings back memories of moving, which are often sad, for me at least, because it's hard to leave friends. Just like, the sound of packaging tape is just like, and it's like, gives me nightmares. And cardboard boxes have a very distinct smell. And it's funny how sounds and smells can bring back memories, sometimes even more than pictures can. Because, yeah, they just bring back some sadness.
So we just listed 10 of our biggest third culture kid problems, but honestly, I know that I am so blessed to have this life, and I would not change being a third culture kid or give it up for anything. If you have any other third culture kid problems, or you can relate at all, go ahead and comment below and those.
Alright, so give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Bye!